So one of the most common concerns that people have about dry fire is, how do you practice recoil management? Some people go so far as to say that dry fire has no value because there's no recoil, but nothing could be further from the truth. The fact is, recoil happens 2, 3, 4, sometimes more times faster than your ability to identify and respond to it. So what that means is the force that you're exerting on the pistol when the firing pin hits the primer is what's going to determine how well you manage recoil. So how do we improve it? How do we improve the coordination of the stabilizer muscles in the wrist, in the elbow, and in the shoulder so that the recoil impulse is predictable as little as possible and brings our sights back into automatic alignment? Well, what we're going to do is break down and simplify the shooting process. Just look at the tiny little part of recoil management and then build it back up. So it's a two-part process, and I'm going to tell you how to skip the first part, but I'm going to tell you how to do the first part too. In order to know how to counteract recoil, we got to know what recoil looks like. And one of the easiest ways to do that for you is to go to the range, set up a camera in front of yourself, and film yourself shooting. What you want to do is aim using the viewfinder on your camera. And what you'll probably find is that when you're using a good vice grip, the recoil impulse is straight up and down. When you're limp wristing, it's going to be a big loopy J-shaped recoil. When you're shooting one-handed, the recoil impulse is going to be diagonal. And when you tilt the gun or cant the gun one-handed so that it's the same angle as the recoil impulse, your sights are going to come back into alignment quicker and easier and more automatically. So once we've got that information, what do? Well, that's the next part. There's two tools that I like to use for this. One is exercise bands, and the other is bungee hooks that you can get from Home Depot. And they don't need to be really strong. You can double them up, and there are different strengths of exercise bands and bungees depending on how strong you are and whether you're working your shoulder, your elbow, or your wrist. But what you're going to do is hook it to something overhead, and it could be the rail on a garage door, it could be a chin-up bar, railing on a stair. I've got a hook screwed into my wall. The important thing is it's got to be solid, because when this is under tension, you don't want anything breaking. So I'm going to put this up here, and then I've got my pistol with dry fire cord inserted. So the chamber's blocked, there's no ammo, no magazine, and I'm going to simulate recoil with the exercise band. So I'm going to press the trigger, and then recoil. As the sights come back down, I'm going to take up the slack, and as soon as they're back in alignment, I'm going to press the trigger again. Recoil up, prep, shoot. Recoil up, prep, shoot. Recoil up, prep, shoot. I can do this one-handed as well. Shoot, shoot. You can do it rotating around the wrist, rotating around the elbow, and rotating around the shoulder. You can also do it with a SIRT, and using a SIRT or a laser bullet is going to give you some good diagnostics. Here's what I mean by that. When you're shooting with a laser, you want to either have a dot or an up and down dash. As soon as you start having anything off to the side, what that means is you're pushing the sights out of alignment, either with your wrist or with your trigger finger, and you want to avoid that. So this is going to do two things. Number one, like I said, is going to help stabilize or coordinate the stabilizer muscles in your wrist, your elbow, and your shoulder. And what that's going to do is make the recoil impulse more predictable, and it's going to minimize it. It's going to minimize the lift of the sights, because your muscles are going to know exactly what to do to counteract the forces of recoil of the gun. The second thing that it's going to do is, since you're moving slowly and you're able to watch that front sight come up and come back down, you're going to train your brain to know to look for that sight, and pretty soon you're going to be able to see your sight going up and down at full speed during the recoil process. It'll probably be flash pictures. It won't be a smooth up and down, but what it will do is you'll see the general path that the sights are taking and know when your sights are coming back into alignment to minimize the delay for a second, third, fourth, or fifth fast, accurate shot. So go ahead and play with this, try it out, let me know what you think and how it affects your shooting. This is an example of how our training is dramatically different than traditional firearms training and even traditional dry fire training, and why we're able to get such dramatically better results in less time using less money than traditional approaches. When you combine cutting-edge brain science with accelerated learning techniques and improved training methods, what you end up with is you feed the brain new skills in the ways that it is able to absorb it as quickly as possible. So that means you have less wasted time and less wasted money in training, and every single second that you spend in training is creating new neural connections in your brain to help you shoot better, not only at the range, but in extreme stress situations. So for more high-speed training like this that will help you get the most benefit from every second and every penny that you spend on training, I want to encourage you to go to drawstrokemastery.com. Thanks a lot.